San Siro Stadium, where we're particularly delighted to have a match for you at all. Torrential rain in Milan last night, more this morning, and the game in doubt until a pitch inspection less than half an hour ago. But happily, Inter will face Napoli here this afternoon. Inter, of course, thrilled with their triumph over AC Milan in the derby here last week. But Andy Bremer was a casualty in that game. He's missing today, but Mandolini is, of course, an experienced replacement. Otherwise, it's very much the same side. Trapattoni was delighted with their performance. They soaked up a lot of pressure, and then Jürgen Klinsmann, from a throw by Matthäus, set up the winning goal for Nicola Berti. So here come the teams, led by Gianni Beskin, who made the crucial decision to play today. Diego Maradona, incidentally, came out onto the pitch with the referee. And whenever Napoli play these days, the burning question is, of course, will Maradona be in the lineup? Well, he is, and they may well need him at his very best, because Napoli come here beset by problems. Ferrara, Franchini and De Napoli, all notable absentees. It will be a real test of Napoli's will to win, given the troubles in the club. But they do have the quality, Careca and Maradona in particular. Well, I'm joined today by the former England striker, Trevor Francis, who played here in Italy, of course. And first of all, Trevor, how ironic that this much criticised pitch has taken all this rain.
Yes, it makes a pleasant change for us to be actually praising the pitch, because we've done nothing but criticise it all season. But it was a very heavy rainstorm last night, and I'm rather surprised that we aren't getting the match at all this afternoon.
Yes, the pitch has soaked up the bulk of the rain, but you can see straight away it is going to be very heavy going. Literally, and perhaps metaphorically for Napoli, who come into the match without some key performers like Franchini and De Napoli, both injured. Ciro Ferrara, such an important defender, he's suspended. And Corradini, wearing Ferrara's number 2 shirt, getting in a cross that Maradona competes for rather optimistically at the near post. The 1989 champions Inter against the 1990 champions Napoli. Inter haven't been really in inspiring form, but their football has been functional and effective, and they're fresh from a tremendous victory in terms of prestige against Milan here a week ago. And Jürgen Klinsmann is away. Klinsmann was pushing. Napoli really trying to awake from a nightmare. Their malaise over Maradona has almost become a terminal disease. But Diego has decided to play today, and more important, Napoli have decided to pick him. Just the one injury problem for Inter. Mandolini wearing the number 3 shirt. Andy Bremer came off against Milan a week ago, and Mandolini was a capable replacement for him then.
Yes, it is significant that Battistini is fit today, but Trapattoni, he does seem to like Mandolini, and he's decided not to bring back Battistini, despite the injury to Bremer.
Well, he certainly liked the result that this team got for him last week, and obviously wanted to make the minimum of change, really, and Mandolini played a full part as a substitute against Milan. Here's Klinsmann. Bianchi couldn't really get any steam behind it. and it is a corner. Great support here for Inter, of course, but Napoli pretty well represented, as they always are. Ferri trying to pump it back. Giovanni Galli, used to playing here, of course, in his time with Milan. Paganin, the number 6. Coming in tight on Careca. And the free kick given against Paganin. Massimo Maro back in the Napoli side. He's to take it. Very important for Napoli to get through the early minutes here unscathed. You would expect a ferocious charge from Inter. Klinsmann very much to the fore in that respect. Well, Napoli will remember from their experience a week ago that corners don't necessarily mean too much. 13 corners to 2 against Sampdoria in the San Paolo Stadium. 4 goals to 1 against Napoli. That's Aldo Serena trying to put his trademark on the game straight away.
Yes, you are right. The last thing that Napoli want today is to concede an early goal. I would think their confidence must be absolutely shattered after that 4-1 defeat at home. It's a result, really, that never happens in Italy. Losing 4-1 at home is equivalent like of losing 6 or 7-0 here in England. And I would think that they're very, very happy to have Careca back in the team today and Maradona back here playing. And when you look at some of the players in the team, like Alameo and Maradona and Careca, you can't really underestimate Napoli.
One other factor against them today is the tradition in this fixture. You have to go back to the 67-68 season to find Napoli's last away win against Inter. But they come here clearly determined. They've had a reasonable result in the Italian Cup in midweek, where they drew away to Fiorentina to go through after winning at home. And they're angry here that Ferri has fouled Careca, but they'll have positive thoughts because it's a free kick that Maradona is closest to at the moment. Six minutes played. Will Maradona take it? He does. He declared himself unavailable for the cup tie on Wednesday. And every game he plays for Napoli these days, you wonder whether it will be his last.
Yes, I was interested to read a quote on the Italian teletext. It was from his own private trainer. Apparently he rang through to the club at Napoli and said that Diego Maradona wouldn't be making the trip on the coach because he is sleeping.
Well, he is a law unto himself, and you just wonder what the feeling is amongst the other players. They recognise, I'm sure, what Maradona has done for the club, but how much longer can it go on like this, especially with the team at the moment in the bottom half of the Italian First Division?
Well, it appears to me that Maradona undoubtedly wanted to go to Marseille at the beginning of the season. And although his contract runs through till the summer of 1993, I think that it's fairly predictable that he won't be seeing the end of the contract. And it wouldn't surprise me that if he doesn't leave the club at the end of this season to get his wish.
Well, Inter determined to make it another humiliating afternoon for Napoli. Mandolini. Klinsmann showing for the throw. And going on, and then falling down. The crowd bowed for the free kick, but the referee wasn't conned then. But here's Mateus. It was a good strike, too hot for Galli to hold. Rannicke, who's been so beset by injuries, but pressed back into service today, helping Napoli get the ball away. Back from Ferri. It was a cracking try from Matthäus. And a clumsy challenge by Alamau, and he's going to get the yellow card for the descent, not for the foul. Quite clearly the referee was happy just to give the free kick, but Alamau wouldn't let go.
Well, there's certainly early signs that all's not well in the Napoli camp, because 2 or 3 minutes ago we saw Careca complaining bitterly from a reasonable challenge from Ferri. Then we saw Alan Nail there complaining, quite rightly going into the referee's book.
Bergami retained as sweeper. Well, that wasn't quite what Inter planned.
Of course, when the team are playing well and the results are flowing, you don't really complain about those sort of decisions.
But here's Bianchi for Inter. Paganin already muddied by the conditions. On from Berti, and there's Baroni making another error. Being helped out by the referee. Klinsmann kept his disappointment quickly under control, having seen what had happened to Alamau. But Baroni's first header was a very poor one.
Yes, you get the feeling that every time the ball goes into that Napoli penalty box, they don't look at all happy.
They were very grateful for the goalkeeping qualities of Galli to get their 0-0 in the Italian Cup against Fiorentina on Wednesday, and you also sense it might be a very busy afternoon for Galli again.
Yes, of course, confidence plays such a big part in football, as we all know, and looking at the Napoli team, that's something that they look completely lacking at this present moment.
But it's still 0-0, and Inter themselves were given something of a pounding by Milan, only to come up smiling in the end a week ago. Maybe Napoli can do the same the Italian way. And with Careca and Maradona, but a hesitant Maradona then. You couldn't say the same about Matthäus, and Maradona has to try and plug the gap because he was caught out, but Matthäus makes room for the shot easily. And Maradona was no way able to prevent that. And Galli got away with a ball that really was very difficult to deal with. Galli saw it bounce off his chest.
Yes, and the way that Matthäus went past Maradona with ease, it's pretty obvious, I would think, that Maradona's come into this game not physically in good condition. I would think that he hasn't trained particularly hard throughout the week, and I think it showed this now.
Matthäus. It's certainly a pitch to switch the ball quickly if you can, rather than try and carry it. Bianchi found by Pizzi. Bianchi's cross. Klinsmann is there. And Galli saves from Berti, who's found his willingness to get forward.
Well, I can only assume that Berti was listening to my commentary.
Serena. And Baroni gets the better of Klinsmann, but only just. Klinsmann and Matthäus up amongst the leading scorers in the Italian First Division this season with 5 apiece. Bergami. Inter, as those statistics show, having the greater number of shots, and looking the much more progressive team. That doesn't always produce the right result. Berti fouling Maradona. but there's no real conviction about what Napoli are doing in an attacking sense.
No, I was just thinking that the Inter defence, who have let in a fair share of goals this season, they do look rather comfortable, and I would have thought last week against Milan, playing against the likes of Van Basten and Massaro, they were quite relieved to have kept a clean sheet, and I would think that today they could possibly repeat it.
Bianchi, Serena, bit tight against the touchline. Good work from Bianchi, excellent play. Paganini going on, can he go all the way? He's trying to. Mandolini didn't want to shoot. Berti always does. Well, the game's here to be won for Inter. Third in the table, chasing Juventus and the leaders Sampdoria. They won't want to be caught up in a stalemate.
No, you get the feeling that Napoli are just waiting for the first goal to go in. That's the feeling I get. That was a good, confident run there from Paganini. Just the last couple of weeks, he's now come into the team more on a regular basis because he's played so many games this year coming on his sub, and he's certainly added to his confidence, and he's looking quite a mature player now for a player who's only in his mid-20s, of course. But he looks very, very mature, and he's certainly adding something to Inter's play on that right-hand side. And
Bianchi, who we've pointed a finger at for perhaps lacking some end product to his work, did some delightful sleight of foot over on the far touchline. One would feel it's a good game to play in from the Inter point of view. They're catching Napoli at the right time. But it is still 0-0, and Bergami, even a man of his stature, capable of getting it wrong. Pumped forward by Baroni, and a misjudgment here. And that's what Inter have got to guard against. Kaneka, a player of his calibre, could have done better. You don't get many slips by Ferri like that.
No, that was a bad error. He completely misjudged the bounce, and you don't give Kaneka those sort of openings. I think for Ferri's sake, he was fortunate actually that it landed on Kaneka's left foot. So if they'd been on the other side of his right foot, they could have found themselves to go down.
Paganini. Here's Bianchi. Pizzi. Maradona taking on the role of the tackler to win the ball back for Napoli, but Renica looking a little rusty, understandably. Bianchi. And Pizzi seemed to find that his standing foot slipped away then. Serena. Maradona having to scrap for it again. Pizzi. Bianchi. Now Berti. And Matthäus! Well, the consolation in terms of a pat on the Matthäus came from Galli, and there were two of them going for it then.
Yes, that is undoubtedly the best move of the game. Great interplay from Inter Milan there. Berti getting towards the byline, pulled a good ball back. Matthäus come running in, and I'm just wondering if his German colleague Klinsmann actually interfered as he was swinging his right foot to try the volley.
Maybe one last moment of difficulty for Napoli before half-time as we move into stoppage time. Matthäus. Pizzi has to go for it himself, and by doing just that, force Venturini to knock it behind. Bianchi going for the orthodox corner this time. Paganini. That was Renica. And Napoli with Careca. Held up for a moment by Bergami. And then Mateus brings him down. He did a great job for his side, Careca then, and Mateus is in trouble.
Well, surely it can't be for the foul, because it was a harmless sort of challenge. It must be for dissent.
Yes, the referee being consistent. He did the same to Alomar early in the half. Well, the first half could end with real drama here. Inter much the more buoyant side, but they haven't produced a goal. And Napoli have a genuine chance in stoppage time. Maradona couldn't get it past the wall though. And Klinsmann halted by the whistle. He feels there's no justice. And although there are some inter-protests, Zenga comes out to calm everyone down, which is a good sign. Albertino Bigon, the Napoli coach, will be very pleased that his team has got to half-time at 0-0. They just showed one or two signs as the half developed that they could yet trouble Trapattoni's side. And Inter, for all their superiority and shots, notably really from a distance, not really close enough to force Galli into any desperate saves, but they've kept Galli busy. But at half-time in the San Siro Stadium, a day when the match might not have taken place, we've had 45 minutes, it's Inter 0, Napoli 0. Well, one of the worst jobs in football at the moment is to be a member of the ground staff here in Milan, I would think. Some 25 of them have been out on the pitch during the half-time interval to try and repair some of today's damage. The rain has virtually stopped. What is about to restart, one suspects, is the intercharge towards the Napoli goal. But there certainly were signs of Napoli's resolve coming through as the first half came to its conclusion. It was as if Inter rather got stuck in their own half. Nil-nil, and that really isn't good enough for Inter.
Well, for all Inter's possession that they had during the first 45 minutes, I can only really think of one good opportunity. That was the best move of the match, which Mateus missed a good opportunity. But really, in all honesty, they haven't really created much.
Berti simply looking to run past opponents. And it's not a bad policy in these circumstances. Once committed, a defender can hardly readjust. And the Inter supporters love that. Here's Paganin. Well, it went over Klinsmann, didn't quite reach Serena around the penalty spot. Incocciati, who's changed his shirt, like a number of the Napoli players. Crippa. Oh, and it's run on. Maradona can line it up now. Desperately close. Beat the goalkeeper.
Yes, and when it left his foot, I thought it was in. It was so close. It was a good move by Napoli. Good layoff by Incocciati into the path of Maradona. And he controlled it well on this awful surface, and it was a great shot.
Change of shirt, change of heart, perhaps. Mauro. Careca. Paganin had followed him across to the far side. Napoli, you might remember, started last season 16 league matches unbeaten. from the off. And although their second half of the season performances weren't quite up to that standard, they came through strongly at the end to take the championship. Oh, a miscue by Alamao, and he got away with it.
Yes, we've spoken about how Maradona is not so effective now as he was last year, but I think that Napoli's problems really started during the summer when they were forced, or I don't know whether they were forced, but they certainly sold two international players of great quality in Fusi and Carnevali. They bought, of course, Silenzi, who can only find a place on the substitutes bench, so you could perhaps say that some of the buying and selling wasn't as good as it should have been during the summer period.
Crippa ploughing through the middle with Careca going on, past Paganini, Careca for Napoli. Zenga didn't have a save to make in the first half, but it's a different story at the start of the second. Crippa had started it all off, and Careca went on. It was an angle that he had to try and find a way past. Not too many coming into the middle for Napoli.
Yes, it was great attacking skill there from Careca, completely bemusing the young Paganini. And unfortunately for Napoli's sake, there was no one, as you say, Martin, that could come into the near post to finish off Careca's good work. But it's certainly a warning to Inter Milan that at the start of this first half, the two best attacking movements have resulted in two good chances for Napoli.
Oh, Klinsmann allowed himself to be caught up there. And the ball was way behind him when he collided with Corradini.
Well, on that occasion, Klinsmann looked if he was practicing his ballet skills.
He's got the free kick, though. Matthäus asking for Napoli to get the ball back. Well, you might be able to get the ball over Maradona's head, but Matthäus is going for power. He scored! In the 7th minute of the second half, Lothar Matthäus drills a free kick past Giovanni Galli, and 3 men in the wall. They weren't enough.
No, you're spot on. My first thoughts were, before Matthäus actually hit the ball, was that Galli had made a mistake. He needed 4 in the wall, and that goal was reminiscent of the goal that Matthäus scored against Juventus in Torino about a month or so ago. Well struck. I felt Galli could have done better, but it's certainly what the game needed.
Maradona left shaking his head, and we'll know now whether the Napoli players have got big hearts or not. At 0-0, there was plenty to fight for. Incrociati. So Lothar Matthäus takes his total of goals in the league this season to 6. And Trapattoni, well, he's trying to get a message through to his team with that whistle. It's a corner that we must concentrate on here. Careca! Can you believe it? What a recovery by Napoli, and what an inquest now, which Matthäus leads. It dropped for Careca. The reflexes were lightning sharp, and Zenga and Matthäus himself on the post could do nothing about it. Redico was putting on the pressure. Careca was on the spot. And off comes Pizzi, on goes Battistini. It's all happening, Trevor.
Well, what a surprise. Renica's gone up for the corner, got a good challenge in there with Mandolini. The ball's dropped to Careca. He's just stabbed it with his outside of his right foot, and Zenga made a valiant effort to stop it, but the ball finds itself in the back of the net, and Napoli are certainly back in business.
And so too is Matthäus. Foul by Reniker. It was hardly a goal-scoring opportunity. It's a yellow card, and the referee again, I think, has ruled it right, despite the wagging finger there from Bertie. Matthäus had a long way to go, and there was cover behind Reniker. Well, we've had a frantic 10 minutes at the start of the second half here. Well, I was just assessing whether it was a little further out, perhaps, than when Matthäus scored. Still the wall numbers 3. But Matthäus doesn't challenge it this time. Good punch by Galley, great punch. Matthäus again. Ferry. Bianchi. He's done well to get his cross in. Klinsmann back from Matthäus. It was never really under full control for Inter. And here goes Kruppa. Napoli so encouraged by their equaliser. It really is a rip-roaring match now. Matthäus with the throw to Klinsmann. Is it the move that brought the goal against Milan last week? With Bertie looking to round it off in the centre as he did then. Matthäus just drives it in. Mandolini tried to steer it off with his chest. Bertie. Oh, and Inter are furious with this referee, Gianni Beskin. But any cross words in his direction have been punished by the brandishing of the yellow card. So they ran away at the end, having initially wanted to surround him.
I would think at this moment Lothar Matthäus is bitterly disappointed with his teammates. He's done the hardest thing in the game and put Inter into the lead with a tremendous free kick. And then he sees his team concede what must go down as a very, very bad goal just a minute later.
Free kick against Maradona. Bertie. The interception from Baroni. Incocciati. And it's not easy to cut the ball off like that on a slick surface. It would be straightforward, but you could almost sense Ferry in total concentration there in case the ball just skipped beyond his lunge. This is Battistini, the substitute. Space here for Bianchi. He's got the cross in, Klinsmann. Bianchi on the right, having to do it all at full tilt. And nearly running the ball out of play, but he recovered well.
Yes, partly his control and partly the pitch took the ball away to a difficult position for him to cross, but he got in a great cross, and it was a good, strong challenge by Klinsmann at the far post.
It's a terrific show that the teams are putting on, really, on this quagmire of a pitch. Caused partly by the long-term damage to the surface, but if you've just joined us, to remind you that it's been raining very heavily over the past 24 hours in Milan. The home support is heard again. 18 minutes into the second half. 1-1 the score. Mateus takes the corner. Galley's in trouble. No. Bertie. The posse on the near post, Zenga saw it from a long way away. But Galley launched himself at the corner. It wasn't cleared.
Well, it was terrible goalkeeping from Galley. He made a complete mess of it. And I don't know if we're going to see the replay, but it was, thought it was Mandolini who got the header in, which hit the crossbar.
Here is Mandolini. Bertie. Ferry. Anxious times these for Napoli as Klinsmann goes on and can line it up. It's Mandolini in there again. Not quite with the hunger of a forward, it must be said, having come so close a moment or two earlier.
Serena leaping, and this time Inter had the fortune that they were denied. Aldo Serena jumped for it, but it was an own goal, I think. Serena leapt away as though he was claiming it, but that looked to me as though it came off the back of Baroni.
Yes, Serena's claiming the goal, but I think it was pretty clear there from the action replay that it hit the back of the head of Baroni, and Napoli find themselves behind once again.
And poor Marco Baroni, his season, it goes from bad to worse, and that's the way they've called it. An own goal by Baroni. I mentioned that Inter are playing Partizan Belgrade. I'll break off for a minute because Careca, a yellow card for a gesture of dissent. Pursued by Paganin, and the free kick given against them. But Milan have got to play Sampdoria in the European Super Cup on Thursday. That is Milan's home leg. It's 1-1 from the game in Genoa, and that's going to be played in Bologna. Mandolini, Klinsmann, Serena. There's a real chance here for Nicola Berti, and he tried to place it on a pitch where the ball wasn't going to roll exactly right for him, he thought, and he allowed the goalkeeper to make a save that shouldn't have been on. Serena, Mateus, and Baroni able to deal with it, but his unwitting own goal looks as though it's going to be responsible for another Napoli defeat. But they have a free kick, and there's still 4 minutes to go. And here comes Baresi to do that defensive job we were talking about earlier. 32 years old. There was a time when Franco was known as Beppe Baresi's younger brother, but I think these days Franco hogs more of the spotlight. But Beppe Baresi is still a useful performer for Inter in these circumstances. Maradona takes the free kick. Silenzi, for a tall man, doesn't seem to get his share of headers. in pressure situations. And Napoli still going strong.
Yes, it's certainly a spirited finish by Napoli. They're pushing more men forward now, but they do run the risk of an Inter Milan breakaway, especially with players like Klinsmann forward in attacking positions.
Oh, and it very nearly dropped Careca's way again, as it did from the corner that led to the first equaliser. Klinsmann, great turn. He's confronted by Reneker, who's been booked, remember, but he got the ball that time. And he launches it long. Kept in the first time and the second time by Silenzi. But not to any real purpose at the end.
Well, it was a great piece of play there from Reneker. Found himself the last man with Klinsmann coming at him. Got a great tackle in, then delivered a 50-yard ball. Perfect ball for Silenzi. I don't think Silenzi quite believed in himself. I think he felt it was going out of play. He didn't really attack it like he should have done.
I think that's a problem for him generally, having stepped up to the first division. He hasn't played with the confidence that brought him more than 20 goals in the lower leagues last season. The referee aware of any time that might be used up unfairly. It's been a second half really to warm you on a cold afternoon in Italy. And it's Baresi who leads the charge out. A minute to go plus stoppage time. Oh, Mateus might have backed the wrong horse then. Oh, and Klinsmann nearly got it in at the near post, catching Galli out. That I don't think was in Jurgen Klinsmann's mind. Galli had to dive back. Silenzi. No support. Relief in the roars from the Inter supporters. Inter, to their credit, haven't indulged too much in using up time. I think they do feel that they can get another goal. And this might be it. Bianchi. Serena's there. And Mateus. The timing of the layoff wasn't quite right.
No, but it was great support from Mateus. As Serena was about to lay that ball back, you couldn't see in the picture who was running onto it. It's a safe bet it's going to be Mateus. He links up so well with his two front players.
Yes, and he was running so hard to get there that he just couldn't control the shot at the end. It's all over. Great entertainment. And Inter have won it, despite the heroic approach by Napoli in the second half. Mateus scored 6 minutes after the break with a rasping free kick. Napoli equalised within a matter of seconds through Careca. So a goal from a West German, a goal from a Brazilian. It was an Italian who decided it, but unfortunately for Marco Baroni, into his own net. Inter 2, Napoli 1.